It seems like we've always had digital photography. It's so easy now to snap as many photos as you want and store them on your phone, computer, or in the cloud on third-party storage services. There are billions of pre-digital printed photos worldwide that are moldering in shoeboxes and envelopes. Many of those photos have critical information that can help you and others in genealogy research. It's very important that we digitize our photos to preserve them. The purpose of digitizing printed photos is to preserve the photos so that they aren't subject to decay or fading, document who and what the photos are about, record and link the information and histories about individuals for future generations, and find linkages among extended and direct family members. In this tutorial series, I'm going to demonstrate how to organize and digitize photos, and how to digitally store and annotate photos. You can follow along, pause, and rewind these tutorials as many times as you need as you learn how to digitize your photos. You'll need a scanner or mobile phone with a high-resolution camera and good natural lighting, a computer, photo editing software, a family search account, and a willingness to learn and make mistakes. You may have a box of old photos like this one. It may be organized or in a state of random chaos. There are many ways to organize photographs. This box has photos that have been sorted and placed in categorized envelopes labeled by subject matter. I'm in the process of scanning those that are particular people I personally know or recognize, and as I scan the photos, I upload and document them in Family Search, as well as store the digitized photos in Google Drive for safekeeping. The ones I've scanned, I then put in a separate envelope with a note written on the outside, stating that they have been scanned and archived. That way, I won't get confused and rescan and re-archive them at some future date. The photos of people who are not family members, or are of places or things that don't have a known story or memory associated with them, are stored in the same outer envelope, but not scanned and uploaded to digital storage. Someday I might sit down and, with a relative, document them and rescan and put them up. From this envelope, labeled Early Childhood, I'll select a subset of photos of a particular person. Notice how the backs of each of these first 4 photos have the name of the person, a date, and a location. This is valuable information that helps document this person's life, but that may also be helpful to someone from far future generations who are curious about or trying to make sense of family lines by photographic evidences. I'll be showing how to scan both the photo and the information into one image. To digitize these 4 photos, we'll need either a scanner or a smartphone with a high-resolution camera and good lighting. I prefer a scanner because I can get more consistent lighting and higher quality scans than simply pointing a smartphone camera at the printed photos. Sometimes photos can be curled, damaged, or have a high glossy finish that reflects. The smartphone can't capture them without the curl causing a distortion, or capturing a shadow or a glare on a glossy finish. In contrast, a flatbed scanner has a lid that closes and flattens the photos so that they're imaged without distortion, glare, or shadows. I'll open the lid and place the photos on the scanner glass, making sure that the photos are face down for this first scan, so I get the front side of the printed image first. Be sure that you use a microfiber cloth to clean the glass first and between scans so that any fingerprints won't show up on the digitized photos. It is also a good idea to wear lint-free archival gloves to avoid getting oils and fingerprints on the prints. I didn't happen to have any available for this demonstration. Every scanner is different, but most have similar features, even if they're accessed in different ways and have different names. Let's turn on the scanner and see what's available on it. With this scanner, I can copy a document or photo and print it out on paper. Or I can scan a document or photo and store it elsewhere. I can store the scan to a computer that is on my home network, or I can store the scan to the cloud, such as Google Drive. There are other settings available, such as color, black and white, and file type. For my purposes, I want a bit more control over the file type, file name, photo quality, and destination than the scanner's onboard default settings provide. so I'll be controlling the scanner using software that installed on my computer when I first bought and set up the scanner. At my computer, I've accessed the scanner software. Your software will differ, but will likely have something similar to what you see next. In this box, the scanner is appearing as connected to my computer. This is very important because it won't scan without a proper connection. I click OK to close the network connection box. Now that I've confirmed which scanner to use, the main configuration box appears. There are a number of settings that seem intimidating at first, but I'll summarize what each one does. Again, it's likely that yours will have similar settings, even if they're not shown exactly like these. With the Scan Settings dropdown, I can select the default settings or a collection of settings that I created and saved from a prior session. The Document Source dropdown lets me choose whether to use scanner glass or the automatic document feeder on top. There's also an Auto Detect setting to let the scanner decide which to use based on whether it senses items on the scanner glass or that were inserted into the feeder. I typically choose scanner glass as I'm wary of feeding old and fragile photos into an automatic feeder that might damage them if it jams. For the document size, A4 is the size of a normal 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper, which is fine for now. But if you want to cover the glass with photos and get the full scan from all the available glass, you can select maximum size. The image type setting lets you choose whether to scan the photos as color, grayscale, or black and white. I almost always choose color, because even black and white photos have color beyond just strict black and white or gray. Resolution is an important setting for when you want to get a higher quality, larger photo, with a larger file size, or a smaller version. DPI stands for dots per inch. Here I've set it to 150 DPI, which will result in a scan that is close in size to the original. If I were to want more detail and definition, as well as to enlarge the photo for a poster, I can choose a higher DPI. It all depends on what you plan to do with the photo after it's scanned. The rule of thumb is that you should use the DPI just larger than what you need. You can always make it smaller using photo editing software and still have good quality. But you can't make it bigger in photo editing software without losing quality. The Rotate dropdown lets you choose whether to have the scanner rotate the image it scans for you. I usually choose 0 degrees since I tend to orient the images on the glass how I want them rotated. In the event that the scanner lid and glass can't make seamless contact, such as when scanning a book, some scanner software can correct for the skewing of the photo that might result from the curvature of the book's pages where they connect to the spine. This is sometimes helpful and sometimes looks worse than if you turn off this setting. You'll have to experiment with it if your scanner provides it. The image format is very important. If you choose an inferior image format, your digital scan will lose quality every time it's opened, edited, and saved. Such formats are referred to as lossy formats. The best format to preserve digital photos is TIFF or TIFF. Your software should allow you to choose a file name format. I've set mine to IMG for image, followed by 3 numbers, followed by a dot, and the file type extension of TIFF. Using the File Name Settings dialog, you can change the file names of scans to whichever prefix, date format, file counter, number of characters, and start number you wish. This is helpful for when you're scanning batches of photos and want to keep track of the sequence and date of each batch. The folder setting lets you choose where your scanned photos are stored on your computer. Make a note of this location so you can find your images there after scanning them. Additional general settings, available under the gear icon here, let you choose things like the measurement units, default storage, timeout of when the scanner will disconnect after not being used, and whether to compress the file after scanning it to speed up the scanning process. You can also change the mode to maximize photo scan quality. Change the orientation by which the scanner images your photos, and whether to open the image storage folder after the scan completes. Go back to the main scanning menu. Again, yours may differ. In this case, I have the ability to preview the scan and select the parts of the scanner glass area to scan into a digital file. I'll click the Preview button to begin the preview scan. Here you can see the preview scan is in process. This is the completed preview. Notice that it scanned the entire surface area of the glass that fits into the A4 page size format. This is useful if you wanted to, say, print out the scan onto an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper. If you want to scan the entire glass area, you'll want to choose the maximum area setting for the document size of your particular scanner. Now I'm going to select just the area of the preview that I want to include in the final scan. I do that by clicking and dragging my mouse cursor in the shape of a rectangle, which includes only the photos I'm scanning and not the extra white area around it. You can see a thin black line now around the 4 photos that wasn't there before, which indicates the selection area as I clicked and dragged it. Now that I've let go of my mouse button, the solid black line turns to a dotted line. Your scanner's preview selection box may look a little different. With the selection how I want it, I now click the Scan button, and the scanner does a detailed photocopy of the photo according to my chosen settings. On your computer's File Explorer or Finder app, look in the directory or folder where you sent your scan. Your file will be named the way it was specified in your scanner software. Here, my file is named img001.tif. Now, open the scanner lid and flip the photos so that the photo side is facing upward and the back side is facing the glass. This is so that we can scan any handwritten notes, stamps, or other markings that may help a future researcher understand the content and the context of the photo. Even if the back is blank with no markings, that is information a researcher can use to know the original photo doesn't have contextual data, and they'll need to focus their research efforts elsewhere. We'll later combine the back and front of each photo into a single image using editing software. Click the Preview option in your scanner software to generate a new preview scan of the backs of the photos. If necessary, make a new preview selection rectangle around the 4 images. They should already be pretty well within the original boundary if you were careful to place the photos exactly in the same spots as before. Now, do the full scan. In the File Explorer or Finder app, the new file will appear, this time named slightly different from the first file according to your naming scheme. In this example, the last number has been incremented by 1 to make it unique. I now have 2 files, one representing the front of the photos, and one representing the backs of the photos. In the next tutorial, I will show you how to create individual files representing the individual photos in the batch we just scanned. Then we'll combine the backs and fronts of the photos into a single image for archival.